As men of faith in a world that is evil, we have to balance protection and grace with the threats to our families. And in today's episode of Coffee Talk, we're going to be talking about a little philosophy I have called the olive branch and the sword. Now, how's it going? My name is Chad, and welcome to the Hopeful Homestead. You're out here in my little tiny cabin on wheels, parked out on my family's property that we're going to be building our forever farmhouse on. And in this series of videos that I like to call Coffee Talk, I like to sit here and chat with you guys, all the husbands and dads out there that are just trying to get through life, dealing with all the stuff we have to deal with. And to me, balancing protection for your family with grace for others as men of faith is one of the most difficult things we have to do and are called to do as men, as husbands, and as fathers. You might be asking, what is the olive branch and the sword? What does that even mean? I don't even know where it came from, if it's something I just thought of or if it's something I heard of at some point, but I've referenced it with other guys I've talked to in person when they're dealing with this kind of stuff in their life. Because as men, I think as we enter our 30s and become a little bit more tenured with being a father, being a husband, you start realizing, as you see more and more of the evil that is out there in the world, you start realizing how important your role is to your family as their protector. And as a Christian, as a man of faith, the scriptures tell us to always extend grace and to always aspire to protect life and preserve life and to love your enemy. And all of that is true. So how do you balance that very difficult fine line of being willing to protect your family, even if that means with violence, while also always looking out to fulfill what the scriptures call us to do? And the mindset I've taken as an adult, now I don't know if this is perfect or not, or if this is what God would want me to do or not, but I'm pursuing God. I am praying about this. I am researching scripture. I am keeping an open mind as I go through the Bible, as I go to church and I hear sermons have been sometimes pretty tailor-made to this subject recently, and really diving in, researching online, explanations of scriptures that I'm coming across. I've been pursuing the word and the knowledge and the truth on this matter, because it's not just cut and dry. It's not black and white. It's not no matter what, you cannot ever use violence to protect your family. If there's a threat, just let your children be absolutely mauled and mutilated by the threat. That's not the truth either. So anyone who says that is just ignoring other scriptures in favor of wanting to make themselves look like a better Christian, when in reality, they've probably never actually faced a threat in their life, and who knows what they'd actually do in the moment. I'm obsessed as a dad, as a husband, with the concept of making sure that I protect my family and keep them safe. And I don't know how any sane father doesn't feel that way with everything that's been going on in the world for the past few years. Ever since 2020, but even especially in the past year and a half or so, it's been nuts. Evil is showing its face more for what it truly is now. It's not hiding in the shadows as much anymore. And so for me, with the olive branch and the sword, I like to think that no matter where I am in life, no matter who I'm interacting with in life, whether it's someone I don't know anything about, someone I'm suspicious of, or someone I know is typically bad or typically harmful, I always have the olive branch extended first. I always have the hand reached out with the olive branch, metaphorically, looking to be passive, be peaceful, to love them, to be graceful with them. But you can bet that behind my back, in the other hand, is the sword. I've got the olive branch extended first, but the sword is in the other hand, ready to go. And if you go back and look at some of my previous videos, I've broken down some of the scriptures from Luke and Exodus that break down why it's okay to own and carry weapons, firearms, and why it's okay to use them in a lethal manner if necessary to protect your family and household. Scripture just lays it out pretty plainly. Go check out those videos because it dives deep into the scripture behind why it's okay, for one. I'm not going to get into that today. What I am getting into is the philosophy that I approach life with. Walking out into the world every day, whether I'm by myself or with my family, no matter who I'm interacting with, I'm always aspiring to extend the olive branch first. And I feel like as men, we should always do that. That's what the scriptures call us to do. That's what being a decent human being and a decent man is. And sometimes, yes, that means biting your lip, holding your tongue, pulling your punches, everything in an effort to preserve grace and love, even with someone you might call your enemy. But where the line is drawn in the sand is where safety and well-being of you and your family becomes in harm's way. If this threat, if this person crosses that line to where they're actively trying to harm your family in a physical, life-threatening way, that's where the hard line is. That's where You are allowed scripturally to protect your family and to make sure that your children are safe, that your wife is safe. That is also what being a good biblical strong man is. There is a difference between murder and self-defense, defending your family, defending your household. There's a difference. Scripture lays that out pretty plainly. But that's going to be it for today's episode. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment below of what you thought of this, and let me know where you're watching from. I love always hearing how far these videos are reaching. Hit the like button. It helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll look forward to seeing the next one. And if you feel like sticking around for more, here's a link to that video I was talking about why Christians are allowed to own guns, and I'll see you over there in that one. Thanks for watching.